Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Alrighty. Has anybody read the meeting minutes from July 7th, I guess?
Nope.
No, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve.
August 11th, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Who made that second?
I did.
Is that Bob?
Oh,
All right.
Alrighty. So, bear with me, folks. This is my first time on Zoom, so. All right, so I guess we're going to start off. We already did the meeting minutes. We're going to start off with the first case of the night. It's going to be case number 2020.07.28A. A case of New England Retail Development, LLC, CO Tom Pratt, who was petitioning the board for a special permit to be able to open and operate a gas station and convenience store with drive-through within the village business district. The proposed location is 166 Main Street and 17 Wing Road. Assesses map 13, lots 36, 38, and 38A, which are currently owned by Delta Realty, LLC, CO Mickey Higgins, and Tony's Service Center, CO Tony Faria. This request is being made under the provisions of section 3.3.2B and 3.4A. Before we go any further, the special permit that's being requested tonight is not for to open and operate a gas station and a convenience store with a drive-through. The petitioner should have been petitioning this board for a special permit to either approve or disapprove a building that's in excess of 3,000 square feet for that property. Now, there's been some debate on how this was supposed to take place, and that was our job from the ZBA tonight, was to either approve or disapprove. I believe it's 4,250 square foot building. The rest of this permitting process is going to be handled by the planning board. They're going to do the site. They're going to do all the site plan review. So none of that comes into play for from the ZBA. The only thing we're going to recognize is the square footage for this building. And when the vote takes place, if it passes, then the next step would be go to, I believe there's a planning meeting tonight anyway, right after this meeting at 6:30. So that's going to kind of be it's not a continuance of this meeting because our business would be done at that point. So I just want to clarify that. I know there's some confusion about who does site plan review, but there's no designated by definition in the bylaws that either send the applicant to the zoning board or the planning board, since we both can do site plan review. In the best interest of the town, we thought it was better that the planning commission review all the site plan, since they have more access to engineers and lawyers and such. So that's kind of where we are. This has been going on for a little while due to the predicament we're in with this virus thing. But you guys are supposed to have a meeting back in August, and that got postponed for some. It was a reason that was out of our control. It had to do with the newspaper. They didn't print what they were supposed to print for dates and venues. So that's why we're here tonight, trying to get this moving for them guys. With that said, Is there anybody from New England Retail, the petitioner, I should say, or a representative thereof, that would like to do a presentation, or give us some idea what you're looking for? And with that, it looks like there's other people here that I don't know. I haven't heard their names. So does anybody from New England Farms want to start this off?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Phil Lombardo. For the benefit of those watching, my screen is the one that says Mickey, who is
Got it.
to my left. Just to make it a little easier. First of all, I'm here as the attorney for New England Retail Development. We do want to thank the board and the town for accommodating this hearing. The Zoom process is a two-edged sword. It allows us all to have these hearings and to move the business along and move along development, but it also is a challenge, and we're all going to try to help present this matter in a clear way so that this board can make a decision on the merits. I'd like to introduce the team. Again, my name is Phil Lombardo, and I'm the attorney for the project. And the team consists of Tom Pratt. You just raise your hand when I call you. Tom Pratt is the manager for the applicant, New England Retail Development. Mickey Higgins is the manager for Delta Realty, the owner of the site and the developer. And we also have a team of engineers from Greenman Peterson, or GPI. And with us are Frank Montero and Heather Montecup and Pat McLaughlin, who we don't see on the screen. But Pat is here and participating and is going to help as needed. And before I describe the project briefly for you all, I'm going to tell you that Frank Montero will be helping to show certain plans and things as we talk, so that it will help people perhaps understand better what we're talking about. This is pretty much the equivalent as if we were there in person and we had some kind of an easel and we were able to show you site plans and things as we went along. So we're going to try to post those on the screen for you to look at as we go through this. So this is an example of what Frank is going to share with us. And so if with the permission of the board, I'll proceed to describe the project a little bit. Okay, the chairman is muted, but he's nodding his head, so I'm going to proceed. The project consists of 3 properties that are being aggregated. They're located at 17 Wing Road, 166 Main Street, and 158 Main Street. 158 Main Street is currently a former gas station and current auto repair shop. And 17 Wing Road and 166 Main Street are residences. Together, the property will be about 52,000 square feet. And by the way, as I present and present some numbers, if any of the engineers on the team are going to correct me, I'm happy to have them do so. So the applicant proposes to demolish the existing structures that are on site and to construct a new gas station convenience store with canopy, and also with a drive-through offering. So now Frank Montero has just shown on the screen the site plan, which we put a little color into to help people see what we're talking about. So you'll see again that this project is on the corner of Wing and Main, and that the convenience store is located, what I'll say, just to the left of the site. It's to the north, but most people just recognize that as the left. And to the left side of the convenience store is the drive-through lane where the vehicles would be exiting the site. The proposed gas station will have 4 dispensers, which are perpendicular to Main Street. And you can see that there's parking to, excuse me, they're parallel to Main Street. My apologies. You'll see that there's parking for the convenience store, customers and employees, and the occasional delivery person to the right of the fuel dispenser island and to the left in front of the store, and a few spaces near wing as well. The applicant proposes to put in 4 driveways, 1 on Wing and 3 driveways on Main Street. Note, however, that one of the driveways is an enter only. That's the one that's closest to the intersection. The middle driveway is a full serve driveway. You can exit or enter from there. And the driveway to the north or to the left is an exit only driveway. You'll note when I'm done with my presentation, I'm going to ask Frank to briefly take you through a few pictures and a few renderings. But I'd like you to note from this site plan that, among other things, we'll be installing what I'll call defined driveways. Right now, there are some driveways that are not very well defined. There's a little bit of art. Right now, we're going to be putting in sidewalks along Main Street. These sidewalks will be design issues that we will deal with the planning board on. And as the chairman noted, the planning board with their resources is generally charged with looking at things like sidewalks and other infrastructure type work that we would propose. I'll give you a few more just general notes about the site. Again, the interior of the store will really consist of offerings of your typical convenience store retail items, 2 handicap accessible bathrooms, which is these days extremely helpful, as you might know. We are proposing a state-of-the-art stormwater management system, which will be a vast improvement over the stormwater management in this area. That has become more and more important as conditions have changed over the years in terms of rain situation and stormwater. We've also proposed an extensive amount of green space, as you can see from, again, the site plan, which will, among other things, be attractive, but also provide for much better sight to distance. And by that, we mean people coming in and out of the site, as well as coming in and out of, or I should say, turning into or out of Wing Road. In short, the project we feel represents a vast improvement over existing conditions. As the chairman noted, it is merely a request for more square footage than the 3,000 square feet allowed by the bylaw. That the use itself is not the issue, but rather the amount of square footage of the store. And we do believe that this project and proposed use are in harmony with the purposes and intent of the bylaw, which is a Chapter 40A, Section 9 requirement. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Frank Montero, who could add to anything that I've said or maybe have omitted, but also to show you a few slides that may also help understand what we're trying to do here and the differences between what exists and what we're looking to do.
All right, thanks, Phil. Mr. Chairman, for the record, I'm Frank Montero, the site engineer for the applicant with GPI. And I think Phil explained the general site layout just fine. As he mentioned, the canopy here is perpendicular to Main Street down here, as opposed to Wing Road up here. I have some 3D elevations I'm going to bring up just to give you a sense of what this will look like from a 3-dimensional point of view. There's 2 viewpoints that I'm going to show you. One's from about this location here, looking into the site from Main Street. And then the second one's up here near this driveway, looking into the site from Wing Road. And there'll be before and afters for each view. So this is obviously the existing conditions from Main Street. You can see the former gas station, the canopy with the columns where the dispensers used to be. on these islands, the former bay facility in the rear. This is the existing home that Mr. Higgins plans to remove in addition to this existing structure. And you can see the existing curb cuts, the general condition of the site is worn. So what we'd like to do is redevelop, basically scrape and rebuild the entire site. This is a 3D rendering of what the proposed site would look like. So these are the exact same locations before and after. So you can see visually very aesthetically pleasing. The driveways are reconfigured from the existing. This is the entrance only that Phil mentioned, which gets you into these dispensers. There's 4 dispensers located under this canopy. Architecturally, we've provided a peaked roof with gables on the canopy where most facilities would have flat deck roofs. So the applicant's proposing something a little above the normal design here. Again, with the 4 dispensers under the canopy, that's capable of fueling 8 vehicles at one time. To the right of this driveway, there's some employee parking on this side of the site. A large green area in the corner, as Phil mentioned, would be converted from pavement to grass. This photo also depicts the new sidewalks that are being proposed along Main Street to clean up the pedestrian access there. Behind the site, we've got the convenience store. Again, this building's 4,285 square feet. And as the chairman mentioned, the only reason we're here before this board is for the special permit to allow this store to exceed 3,000 square feet, which is allowed by right. So this project's allowed by right. We technically don't need ZBA approval for that use, but we are asking for relief to allow this building to be larger than 3,000 square feet. It's 4,285. We feel this is the minimum size store that we would need to operate this site safely, efficiently, and provide an economic return for the amount of investment that's going to go into this project to clean up this corner. Relative to the aesthetics on the building, again, a colonial design, gabled roof, architectural shingles, cupola on the roof, gabled entrance with center doors, double doors, brick facade with some nice coining details on the corners. Wall signs would be externally illuminated with gooseneck lighting. Canopy would be illuminated with flush deck lighting, new site lights for security, all LED fixtures, dark sky compliant. And we'll get into all these details with the planner board, but just kind of give you a general idea. So that's the view from Main Street. If I go over to Wing Road. Okay, this is the existing view from Wing Road, basically where the driveway is going to go. Again, you can see the existing former gas station canopy on the left. The building to be raised in the center of the photograph. The house that would be demolished is in the back corner up here on the hill. And again, I've got a proposed 3D elevation here from the same exact view. So you can see how this looks after it's developed. Again, this is from the full access driveway proposed off of Wing Road. So as you enter the site, again, you can enter any of these 4 dispensers, which again can accommodate 8 vehicles at one time. So the flow proceeds through the site very easily through this driveway. If you want to get fuel, you can go right into the islands. If you don't want fuel and just want to go to the store, you can circulate around into parking directly in front of the store. And then this view shows you the entrance to the drive-through window, which is anticipated for a coffee shop. Again, the parking on the left side near the landscaped area, which is kind of cut off in this view, is over here. These are the underground fuel storage tanks proposed on the left side of the site. So it's kind of a high-level overview of what's proposed for the development. Again, that's existing. That's proposed. I don't think anybody can argue that that's a quite an upgrade over what you're looking at today. And again, from Main Street, this is existing, and this is proposed. So I'll just conclude my part of the presentation with that and turn it back over to Phil.
Thank you, Frank. I don't have anything to add to that, so we'll just to go with the board's wishes on the next phase of this here.
Okay. As I stated earlier, the only thing in front of this board tonight is whether or not we approve the additional square footage for the building itself, and no other business is in front of this board. All the presentation, I mean, it looks way better than it does today. Your proposal looks very nice, but it's up to the board to decide whether or not they want to allow the extra square footage on that building. Before I go to that, I want to ask, are there any board members that have any questions or concerns? Is that just raise your hand if you have something you want to say so I can identify you. Mr. Brown?
Not a question, just more of an observation. For those who don't have the plans in front of them, the existing structures there now are over 5,000 square feet. 2,288 feet, 2,243 feet, and 748 feet combined. So we're going to end up with less square footage than what's currently there, not more. So even though we are here to approve a larger building than what's allowed, there's actually going to be less structure on the properties than current. Just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Are there any other board members that have any questions or concerns before I ask the public's opinion? We're good?
Do not-
Okay. Amanda?
I'm good.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public that would like to ask questions or can have some concerns? Please feel free. Now's your time to talk. No opposition.
Good. We're in? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Hello?
CCA?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see who's there, but
Sit right in front of the computer.
How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody's doing good? Everybody good there?
yep.
My name is Pat Liberty. I live at 165 Main Street in Acushnet. I have a few questions to start with, but first of all, my concern is about the size of the property. And I guess I'm not a new guy, I've been here for 20 years, but before me, there was bylaws that specified the size of a property for this particular town. And those bylaws were pretty secure, around 3,000 square feet. This is a little bit bigger than proposed for normal bylaws. I don't know who wrote the bylaws. I'm hoping there's some of them still around, but bylaws are meant to have substantial support for who we are. So how is this possible that it already is bigger than the residential people and the commercial people that live in this town who want to be fair with everybody and saying, why do they get 3,000, we don't? What changes that rule? That's pretty much my concern. Why is this so much bigger than what we thought would be normal in this particular town for the local people, the residents who have properties, commercial properties, the businesses who abide by those bylaws? And now all of a sudden, there's a hazy area about the bylaws. I don't know how that works. I'm not a bylaw guy, but it does sounds a little awkward for me as a neighbor why this works that way. And I need a little more information for me as a local person nearby to make that point. And again, one more thing is back to the drive-through, which I heard in this conversation earlier. How does this drive-through actually substantiate what we normally do around here is like no drive-throughs. I don't know how Dunkin' Donuts got their drive-through passed through. I don't know that. I wasn't on any of those meetings. But they got a drive-through. There's not supposed to be a drive-through. Now you're proposing, or this company, proposing a drive-through, and we didn't want it before, and now Dunkin' has got one. Does that open up the door and the floodgates for everybody else to want to drive through? It's really complicated, and I don't think it's just cut and dry. We need to sit down and break this down and figure out what the bylaws really mean to everybody in this town. Is there some solidarity about the truth? What's this all about? I'm just confused. I'm a plumber. I don't get all this, but I need to know from you guys who are professionals. Can you kind of get us through this? How did they get away? How did this go forward? I don't know. I just want more information. I know I'm kind of asking too many questions at one time, but I think these are on my mind, and it's my chance to speak. So I want to, put my name out there and see who I am. Thank you.
Paul, you're muted.
Echoing. Okay. Thank you very much. Just to try to, I don't want to be redundant, but this meeting is not about anything but the extra square footage on that building. Drive-through is not our concern. It's all got to do with planning and their site plan review. All of them questions that everybody has for anything else in this project should be directed to the planning board, where they're going to be having a meeting tonight, right after we finish our meeting. All we're really here to do is to vote on whether or not we want to allow the extra square footage for the building in the plan proposed. And that would only be contingent on whether planning approves the site plan review. So we're doing this to try to make, because we promised these people a meeting in August, and we didn't have that meeting. So we're trying to get this meeting done tonight before planning takes over site plan review, where all of these questions that you people have, they're all legitimate questions, but we're not here to answer them questions tonight. If the meeting that follows this one, want to ask any questions about site plan, feel free. All we're looking to do is take a vote on whether or not we want to allow an extra 1,000 square feet or 1,285 square feet for a project of this magnitude to proceed forward. That's what we're here for tonight. Now, there may be a lot of other reasons why this process doesn't go through, but to stop it because of the size of a building, when the site that place looks like today is nothing but it's a dump. This is going to improve the downtown of Acushnet that I've been hoping to see for the last 20 years. It's my opinion. So does anybody from the public want to ask any questions about the square footage before we take a vote on this?
Good, yep, ask him. Hi, Mario Silvera, owner of Jason's Variety. My wife and I own Jason's Variety. I have a question about the square footage.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct in assuming the town took a lot of pains to establish the 3,000 square foot barrier, and they put it in the bylaws? They must have taken their job very seriously, and they set that 3,000 square foot limit.
Try to answer your question.
Yeah.
These bylaws have been in place since, I believe, 96.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how they were adopted. I wasn't even on this board in 96. I can't answer the question. All I can do is tell you that this bylaw book should be upgraded and updated. It should have been done a long time ago.
That's what it is currently, correct? 3,000 feet?
Right?
That's what the current bylaw is, 3,000 feet. Am I correct in assuming that?
You have to, you can only build up to 3,000 square feet without a special permit.
Correct. I understand.
So if they're looking for a larger building, they got to come in and get a special permit from us.
Okay, relating to that, my store, Scuttlebutts, Bonville's, Chuck's, Parting Ways were all under 3,000 or less. So by granting them, if you choose, you will be giving them special consideration that we don't currently have as other business owners.
All them businesses and all them businesses you're talking about were here before the laws were built.
Right. So
So
but
you're
we're-
grandfathered. Your
Correct.
grandfather.
What I'm saying is, but the current law is 3,000. Correct? Current
Without-
bylaw is 3,000.
Without a special
Correct.
permit.
Correct. So you want to give them special consideration where we other business owners don't have that ability. And my other question is, going through this process to make a consideration as to whether you're going to grant it or not, what factors do you use to come up with that decision?
Every board member may have their own reasons for how they vote. I
Right.
can't tell you how they're gonna vote.
What
this is-
factors do you guys
This is
use?
just one step. This is just one step and a probably could be a pretty long process. Personally,
Well, no. So what factors are considered when you make this decision? That's just my question. That's all.
well, one of the factors is whether it's gonna improve the area itself. Is it gonna be any more detrimental to the neighborhood? And in my opinion, it improves the neighborhood. So that's just my opinion.
Right, but at 3,000 feet, they can't do that?
I don't know, but you could ask that question. Well, you wouldn't be able to ask that question to the planning board because they're not having a meeting yet, but
What is so
Um,
special about this particular business that they should be allowed to go from 3,000 to 4,200 when they knew, I'm assuming they knew when they bought the property, that they knew the bylaws were 3,000?
Yep.
Should their plans not have been made to accommodate that 3,000 square foot bylaw? I mean, it's not a suggestion to my knowledge, it's a bylaw.
okay.
People took time to write that square footage and they put a cap on for a reason.
Who had their hand up first? Mr. Brown?
I just like to point out, as you've already have, the 3,000 square foot is not a cap on anything. It just sets off another chain of events when you go over that you have to get the special permit. Much like an in-law apartment in town, who you have to get a special permit for, but they're granted every day. It's not something that anybody else running any other store couldn't get. This isn't special. It's just you have to come to the board so that there is some type of information brought forth. You know, are they going to improve the area like Mr. Hippolito has said? Or is it going to be more detrimental? If it was going to be a detrimental thing and an eyesore of a big building that doesn't look good, then you say, well, you know, you got to stay under the 3,000 square foot. But if you're going to make it an improvement to the neighborhood, an improvement to the town, this board is allowed to give them more square footage. It doesn't, nobody is capped at 3,000 foot. It just sets off that you need a special permit to go bigger. So that's all we're here to discuss, is whether or not this is going to be an improvement, not an improvement, whether or not we're going to allow the 1,200 square foot or not. But anybody else, every other business, as Mr. Hippolito said, all the other businesses were built smaller when they could have been built 10,000 square foot at the time. There was no rules or regulations back then. When they made the rules and regulations, they capped it at 3,000 feet, but only to stop that extra special step of this, what we're going through tonight, to say it can be bigger. So if you're building a building bigger and it's an improvement to the neighborhood or it's a good thing for the town as a whole, this board has the authority to allow it. Versus if it's not an improvement and not going to do a good thing, then it can be denied. But it's not something, as you're saying, that is so special or something that every other business in town couldn't apply for and get.
Okay, Bob, you all set right now? Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Well,
Mr. DeVignan, he's got his hand up. Mr. DeVignan?
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. I don't think it's as easy as you're stating that it is, that it basically, whether you like the proposal or not, with all due respect, you have to go through 3.4 of your bylaws, Section A, decision considerations. you have to go through numbers 1, 2, and 3. Each of them have an A and a B, and a C and a D in some cases. If you don't go through them, then your vote is not, it's not proper. I want to start out by saying I'm not opposed to the development of this site. I believe in property owners' rights. They have a by right, just like the engineer said, presented the project to build a 3,000 square foot store all day long. They have there's some inaccuracies in the application, the narrative, that I think need to be cleaned up too. They have a right to have the gas station. That's a by right use. But the inaccuracy to begin with is the building with the cooler is 4,425. Now, if you try and tell me that the cooler could be moved off-site and not needed, I don't think so. Not if you're having a store and you're cool. If you have things in there and you need the cooler, that's a part of the building. Whether it's attached or not, has a doorway to it. But that's not here nor there. My point is, when you go through the decision considerations of Section A, you will see that 1A and you will see that 3A, I'm not so sure you can make that determination in 2 minutes, like you're suggesting. This is an easy, up or down, thumbs up or thumbs down, because you have, it says in the bylaws, you have to go through each and every one. And I implore the ZBA to go through each and every one and give the abutters a chance to talk about it. This isn't something that is as simple as, let's get the site cleaned up because it's an eyesore and put a massive building in there. I agree with what the store owners are telling you, that it isn't fair that they can't just simply go out and take out a $150,000 note and add 1,000 square feet to their store so they have an equivalent, status with the store. Personally, I grew up in Acushnet. I'm a townie. I'm sure a lot of folks on the camera are townies. I don't want to see one person get something 47.5% bigger than what they have by right to do and end up with 2 or 3 other businesses with boarded up windows because they were run out of town, run out of business. They didn't get enough business because this place wants gas. They want convenience 1.5 times everybody else. They want a drive-through, which isn't permitted, by the way. You'll be approving a plan. That plan is part of the record with uses that are not allowed under the bylaw. The drive-through window is not allowed in the business village district. It's allowed in a business commercial district. They need 2 variances for the plan that they submitted to you. The second is you can't have pavement in the rear and side yards, not in this district. Goes hand in hand and supports the theory that the drive-through is not allowed in this district. So that, first off, this should be scrapped off the plan if you're going to approve it.
Dave, can I interrupt you
Yes.
for a second? Can
Yep.
we please just stick to the scope of this meeting? This meeting is nothing about pavement. It has nothing to do with parking plans, has nothing to do with anything other than the square footage of the building and that in itself. That's all this meeting is about. The rest of all of these questions, all the questions you're bringing up are very good questions. Don't get me wrong. That's got to be done through site plan review, which is going to be handled by the planning board.
I agree, but
So we can't answer them questions for you.
okay, but you can't answer 3A because 3A says access to the location should increase existing traffic by no more than 10% at any point.
That's a site plan answer.
You
That's
can't, but
that's a
Mr. Chairman, that means
That's a
you
site
can't,
plan
you can't
review
vote,
question.
and you can't vote on the project until that question's answered because the bylaws say you can't. So unless you have a peer review engineer tell you that traffic, have they submitted a traffic report? Jim Merritt has already been on record as stating he doesn't see how it's not going to be greater than 10%. That's our building inspector making a statement on that criteria. So how can you make that assessment tonight and allow this to go through with what they asked for? You can't. You have to follow the bylaws.
Well, all we're doing is taking the information in and making a determination on whether or not the plan that was submitted is going to be, you say it's 4,400 square feet now?
It's counting the cooler, it's 4,425. It's
So
here
the
nor
40
there.
So the
It's here nor
40,
there at this point.
I know it's only a couple of hundred extra square feet, but the job of this board is to either approve or not approve,
Correct.
build by special permit, the size of the building, And we have no other
But you
input
have
unless,
to go through the criteria. It says it right in the bylaws. It says special permits shall be granted only if the special granting permitting authority determines that the proposed benefits to the town will outweigh any adverse effects for the town or the vicinity after consideration of the following preferred qualities, among other things. It says granted, shall be granted only if. You have to go through these items. You can't get past item number 3A tonight. So I don't know why there's a rush to just vote on it and not go through the items.
there's not, I'm gonna try to make this clearer than I already have. We're doing this meeting as a favor for these people because they were supposed to be scheduled for a meeting in August when we could have answered these questions at the last meeting, but we couldn't because the paper published it wrong. We're only trying to do this as a courtesy to try to get things into the planning board's venue so that they can decipher all the little details that you're asking about and anybody else is concerned about. We're not trying to circumvent the bylaws. All we're trying to do is vote either a yes or no, that the
But it's
building
not,
can be
it's not as
a
simple as
larger
that.
size. Now, that, if they can't get past site plan review for any other reasons other than, there must be 100 reasons why people don't want the project to move, I don't know. It's not my concern. We were just doing this to try to get one step out of the way for the zoning board, because we don't have anything to say about anything else anyhow. Now, we could just call this meeting and postpone a decision until our next meeting. I believe that New England Farms,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, it's Amanda.
Yeah.
They have submitted a request for a variance, which would be scheduled for an October meeting. If it would make everybody happy, if you'd like to add this vote onto that meeting with the variance,
well, that's what I was going to suggest.
would propose that they are already due to be seen in October, that this way the planning board can meet on it tonight and any new information can be added at that point.
I can tell you that this is going to take more than one meeting for the planning board. This isn't going to happen tonight. But as far as the planning board making a decision on this project, it's way too big of a project to be able to make a decision tonight on this whole project. So I'm sure New England Farms has been down this road before, where you got to cross all the T's and dot all the I's before the project goes forward. We just thought that it would be a simpler way to handle this from our point of view from the ZBA, to just get this one minor issue out of the way so the planning could continue on. Because if we don't approve the 4,000 something square foot building, they're going to be in front of the planning commission tonight without a building. So they're not going to be able to go through site plan review if the project's already being held back. That's why we thought it was important to have this meeting prior to planning and try to get one of these issues out of the way. Like I said, the planning board's got a long road ahead of them with this project. There's a lot of things they got to look at. Hey, I give them a lot of credit for doing this because we don't have the resources to do that from the ZBA.
Paul, you're muted again.
There we go.
How's that? Can you hear me? Thank you. As being on the planning board,
No, everything was fine.
this is going to take a long time. One. Number two, I would make a suggestion that Amanda made that we continue this till the next hearing after planning board has looked at this project tonight. You have a Jen Mickey wants to speak. I'll unmute me.
You're on.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, my name is Mickey Higgins, and
Okay.
I'm.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, with your permission.
Hang on a second. No, it was at 60 before. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, can hear you, Paul.
All right, get rid of this screen here. Okay. The gentleman in Mickey Square, he had his hand up.
Yes, so my name is Mickey Higgins. I'm the owner of Delta Realty. So I own the 3 properties in question, and I'm the developer of the overall project. The variance that we requested is for signage only. So if we don't get through tonight or don't get a special permit for the size of the building, the signage would be mute and we would withdraw. So I'd rather not continue this meeting because we filed this application in May. So we've waited for 4 or 5 months. I would like to hear other comments, if there were other comments from the audience, because I really feel like we've only heard from 2 people, and I'm sure there's more people than 2 that would like to speak tonight.
You guys got a meeting at 6:30?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
7:45.
You have a board? Are they outside?
They're on Zoom.
Oh, they got all their satellite locations here, right? Maybe for time's sake. All right, never mind. Let me know. Gary, CCA, Gary.
All right, I'm unmuted.
Okay.
With all due respect, Mr. Higgins, this is not about running it forward, since you put it in a while ago. It's not rushing it forward, it's doing it correctly. On May 6th, Mr. Merritt sent you a letter to your engineering group, and he explained the process to you guys, exactly how it should go. Now, Mr. Hippolito is correct that they do not have the resources on the Board of Appeals to handle a lot of the issues that will come up in planning. Mr. Merritt suggested on the 6th of May that you guys submit to planning, and then the information going from planning would then be used for the Board of Appeals to answer the questions that Mr. DeVignan said had to be answered by our bylaws. So I just don't accept the fact that you're saying that let's rush this in because we're at some disadvantage. We want to do it right for the town. I'm sorry, that's just the way that we feel. And if you go look at the application, and I've gone through your application, it is incomplete. The application, the gentleman from GPI, I think is the name of the engineering company, tried to answer our bylaw questions. He said in that bylaw that he would have a traffic study at this meeting, this Board of Appeals meeting. As far as I'm aware of, it's not here. It's incomplete. So I think that the planning board, as Mr. Hippolito said, is the best way to go handle and get all the answers. And then you submit it after you're done through planning, because all that information will be vetted, and Mr. Merritt, everything will be done. And I'm sorry, that's just the way I, think it should be handled.
Mr. Hathaway? Mr. Hathaway?
Yes.
There's a little issue here. Now, they filed this in May, I believe, or May or June. And because of the advertising screw up by the paper, they're now into their 3rd month at least without a decision. If we don't make a decision within a certain timeline, once their application's been accepted, they get it automatically. So we have nothing to say about it if we have to postpone this too far down the road. I'm trying to prevent people from receiving benefits without having a hearing and be fair to everybody. So I'm trying to be as accommodating as I can be, but there's a time limit for this board to make a response to this application. Other than that, they automatically, by law, get what they ask for if we don't give them a determination within a certain timeline.
I think if you check on the COVID-19, that's not checked. That's not.
That was the reason. That was,
Mr.
now,
Chairman,
I haven't looked at the legalities of that yet.
That's not accurate, Mr. Chairman. I'm in the business the same as the engineer is, okay? COVID-19, when it struck and the governor's order was put in place, all timelines are stayed for any kind of procedure, anything.
Okay. I don't
So
know
there is
anything
no
about
time.
that.
You guys are not under the gun. So if they tell you that, they're wrong.
No,
They're lying to you. So
no, nobody told me that.
as
Dave,
long as, until the governor lifts his order, which is not going to happen for some time, there is no time limit on this on your end. You don't have a gun to your head.
Mr.
Okay,
Just
well,
Hippolyte,
thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman,
Thank you for
may
that.
I?
Amanda?
They are correct to my knowledge of that. And for time's sake and for planning board's sake, where I feel like a lot of this information should come out, if there's nobody else who would like to speak on the square footage, I would like to make a motion to continue this to the next meeting.
Second the
I'll
motion.
second that.
Wait,
Yeah.
who seconded? I can't hear.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chair, may I
Mr.
speak?
Lowry?
Just hang on a second. I want to hear from Mickey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've listened to the comments and I feel we've been accused of rushing things and holding a gun to your head. And I'm amazed. My partner and I were local people. I grew up in Wareham. I went to Bishop Stang High School. All the construction and development we do is in the surrounding area. We're not trying to hold a gun to anybody's head. If you asked about a traffic analysis, we have done a traffic analysis. We have a traffic engineer with us, Heather Montecup from GPI, but nobody's even asked the traffic engineer to go. No one's asked a traffic question. We have been waiting since May 4th. I understand COVID-19. These are unprecedented times that none of us can plan around. But we have a traffic engineer here, and I think we should hear from the traffic engineer. I think we should also ask if there's any abutters or town residents that might speak in favor, because all we've heard from is two people, and one of them owns a convenience store. And I understand that, but this is America, and America is into free trade and competition. So I understand I wouldn't want a convenience store to go across the street from my convenience store, but there have to be other people in the audience that should be allowed to speak before we just continue this for what will be our 6th month. No gun to your head, Mr. Chair. We'll live with whatever decision you make.
Okay, in all fairness, to try to answer some of the questions that some of the members at this meeting are asking about. Amanda had a motion on the floor, and Bob, did you second it? Mr. Brown, did you second it?
I did say second, and then
Okay.
Mr. Lally did as well.
Yep.
So we're not going to have an answer that night either. We may not. But at least the planning board will be able to go on with their meeting that was supposed to start at 6:30 tonight. And you can probably ask all the questions you want from them, because they're going to be here for a little while, I think. So with the motion on the floor and
Are
seconded,
we taking Mr. Lally's or Mr. Brown's second?
I don't know. Mr. Brown, I believe, second.
Okay.
All those in favor of continuing tonight's meeting for zoning until, what is it, October
I'm aiming for October 20th.
20th? It'll be our next scheduled meeting. All those in favor of postponing this meeting or continuing this meeting until the next meeting, which I believe will be October 20th, everybody will be notified. Please signify by raising your right hand, please.
Amanda Baptiste, aye.
Okay, we got all, it's unanimous. So this meeting is continued until our next zoning board meeting. But following this meeting, there's going to be a public meeting for planning. And I'm trying to get through this meeting. I got one more case to do. So with that said, this meeting is now been continued. Now,
Mr. Chairman, with a point of order, this is Phil Lombardo.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, usually a continuance is to a time certain. I think you folks might want to actually mention a time.
6:30, 6:30 on October 20th.
Okay, if you did, I apologize, I missed it.
yeah, normally we have our meetings at 6:30. Tonight we had it at 6 because we're trying to beat these guys, but
Okay.
you'll be notified. Everybody
Thank
will be notified again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Now,
Okay.
we have a second case. This should take a few minutes because the guy doesn't have the information in front of us. Mr. Garnett. Mr. Garnett,
Yes.
Are you here? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go to case number 2 tonight, case number 2020.09.24A, a case of Thomas Garnett of 7 Hayes Street, Fairhaven, who was petitioning for a special permit for an accessory apartment at 34 Porter Street, Acushnet, which is owned by the estate of John Garnett of 34 Porter Street, Acushnet. This request is being made under the provisions of 3.3.1B and 3.4B. Mr. Garnett, I looked at your plan. Are you
Yes.
still with us?
Yes.
Okay, there you are. I looked at your plan today, and it looks like you're putting a pretty good size addition on this property, right?
Yeah, it's 24 by 34.
Okay. That building in itself is not going to be just the accessory apartment, right?
No, it'll be 2 floors. The second floor will be a bedroom, and a bathroom.
Right, but you realize that you're only allowed to have 25% of that total square footage of that building as an accessory apartment.
Right. I think the accessory apartment right now comes in at about 700.
700?
I think so.
And what's the total square footage of the building?
I'm not sure exactly.
'Cause I didn't see any dimensions on there for the existing structure.
I think she put it in as 1,195 for the existing that's there now.
Is that the assessor's information?
That's on the first page of the plans from,
24 by 32, that's the addition, right?
right, so you go down one line from there and it says total square footage, 2 levels.
1440. So you're building an addition,
Yeah,
but you got to make sure that you only have a certain amount of square footage for that accessory apartment, which can only be 25% of the total building.
right.
And that's something,
Yeah, the
I don't see
person
that defined.
the person that's drawing up the plans, because these aren't the final, these were just plans to bring forth, to get the approval.
I'm just letting you know that so you don't go build this big
Right.
addition and think you can use it as an apartment. You can't do that.
Right. We understand that.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that was clear to you guys. I mean, I don't
Right.
want to have you get all the way down there and you got it all done and find out well, because you're going to only be able to use a portion of that addition.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And
Yeah, and
building
part of
department.
that addition will have a set of stairs to go down to the cellar, so that'll take away from it. So the actual living space, we'll be able to keep it 25%.
All right. Well, I mean, you're gonna have to talk to the building inspector.
Right,
We could vote on a special permit for accessory apartment, but then you're gonna have to meet the guidelines in the building department. With
Right.
this plan tonight, I don't see how you got it broken down to an accessory apartment of a certain size. So you're gonna have to square that up with Jim Merritt.
right,
I mean,
Yeah,
we could issue the special permit, but you're gonna still have to abide by the 25% rule.
right. Yeah, we understand that. Yeah, we have a new set of plans drawn up with all the revisions and everything on it, and
All right.
good measurements.
Does anybody from the board have any questions about this? Anybody from the public want to have input? All right, then can I have a motion to either approve, a motion to approve the accessory apartment for Mr. Garnett, as long as he meets the requirements of the square footage from the bylaws, 25% of total building.
Motion to approve the special permit, providing all of the guidelines of the bylaws are met, including the 25%.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of approving the special permit for an accessory apartment, please signify by raising your right hand, please.
Amanda Baptiste, aye.
It's unanimous. It's approved.
Thank you.
Okay. That would conclude our meeting agenda. Does anybody have any old business they'd like to discuss?
No.
Any new business you'd like to discuss?
Nope.
No further business in front of this board. Can I have a meeting, a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
I'll leave all the
Aye.
paperwork in the town clerk's office to sign for decisions. I'll drop it off Monday. It'll be ready to be signed. If everybody can run down there, that'd be great.
You got it.
Thank you. Have a
Okay.
good weekend.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, man.